Hey guys, it's Dave Kurt, broker of record with Lake City Realty,
And Tristan Ritchie, team leader at Ritchie Natali Group from Lake City Realty as well.
and we're coming at you with one of my favorite podcasts of the year. We just finished actually up our wrap ups in terms of where are our big predictions at, where's the craziness of the market going it was for 2021, so we are wrapping up our thoughts on that. Just to summarize, Tristan had guessed a $380,000 average price point, a $50,000 increase. I predicted 400, and we increased both larger than both of our predictions up to just 407. I predicted condos would be a marketplace. Kind of, I'd probably say 5 out of 10 on that prediction for myself. And then I predicted a better work-life balance that Gen Zs were going to go over. And I think I like
10 to
that
10.
was
Yeah.
12, 15 to 10 kind of thing. Your other predictions, Tristan, were LA Lakers to win the championship,
which didn't happen.
Which fizzled out there.
I thought a lot more listings because people would see the equity in their homes and want to, but those people were also buying.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are still waiting on the edge. So that was not that great of a prediction. And my last one, I forget.
Yeah. Well, listen to our last podcast if you want to hear that. But today we're here to talk about 2022. Can you believe it?
No.
Like I remember being in like a class like way back when and like writing like 1992 on the board, like when you're a little
old.
kid. I see some I tease Tristan about growing up today kind of thing. But we're growing up, we're getting older, and it's crazy to think where we are right now. I've got 3 little kids that are in school this morning, and just insane. Tristan's just had his baby this year, which is like a whole nother challenge.
Predictions that we didn't predict.
We didn't get into kind of thing. But so let's go through it. Like we'll go one at a time, bounce it one off each other, and we'll say where's the marketplace going? What's the biggest predictions we can make for 2022 in the Sudbury real estate marketplace?
So I think we probably both have an average sale price.
I don't actually.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah, I
okay,
don't, yeah.
So I'm curious to hear yours.
I'm ready to chat and go into whatever positive or negative if you want to go at it, because I kind of became really prepared in general, but I don't have a price point.
So I'm thinking 480. I might be conservative. So I still think like a brick bungalow at 500,000 is like sounds crazy for us in Sudbury because that's not what we're used to. But anywhere else in Canada
do you know what the average price point in Ontario is?
Eight or 9.
It's like 860 or something. Yeah, $860,000 for an average house in Ontario. Yeah,
and we must be one of the bigger cities.
I think like there's not many cities that are over 150,000. Yeah. I think there's about 16 cities in maybe Canada.
Yeah.
And we're in Sudbury we're at 165 as according to 2016, and that might even find the way into my predictions later on there. So just
me too. That's hilarious. So my 480 is an average sale price. I kind of believe that it'll be tough for people to make that decision to pay so much in 2022. So especially for locals, they're already having trouble. And we're fueled a lot by the lower end rental properties that were being scooped up by out of town buyers. And those are becoming less and less cash flow positive. So I think those might slow down a little bit next year.
They don't have room for appreciation.
So there's less of those, because right now you're buying at a low cap rate. You used to be able to get 7, 8, which was good. Now you're a lot lower. A lot of the rents are low compared to the sale price. So I think we're going to see a lot less of those smaller properties selling, which doesn't free up as much equity. So 480 is still a big increase, but I think there'd be room for more if the properties were still cash flowing.
Well, let's take it. A 25% increase, which we saw this year, would be 500.
Yeah.
And honestly, like the comment I made to Tristan is like I'm a super optimistic guy. Like the glass is always half full with me, and I'm looking at this and I'm like, I don't see a 25% increase in the market happening this year, and that's why I didn't put it as one of my points, is because I didn't want to have that conversation. I see a 10 to 15% increase in the marketplace this year, and that's going to put us at 550ish. And I actually think like if we had to make my big bold prediction, 450. So my big bold prediction would be that we're sitting at 450 next year, not even 500. So like. I didn't really want to comment that because I didn't think that was a big enough kind of out there thought, but yeah,
like the reverse way that we thought.
It's reverse. Like it's like we're not going to see the growth that we've seen in the past. I really liked your point of view in terms of because it's that lower end of the market that's been scooped up and that's shifted the market so much as having these out of town demand, and I think like the idea that could slow down. There's still going to be out of town demand, but it's going to slow down quite a bit because of the opportunities from a cash flow perspective aren't quite.
But that will also free up the first time home. I have a ton of first time home buyers that are
like people that are actually looking to buy their own.
They want to get in for their own home, and they're having trouble. But those people will finally be able to. I think there's still so many buyers that we have to see a big increase.
It's insane out there right now. And like TerraNet, who's the land registry system, the Toronto Real Estate Board put together a study just recently, and it was 25% of the buyers of homes in Toronto were secondary homes, which is like an insane stat. 25% of all the homes that sold in Toronto.
That's low.
That's high.
What?
We're not their first home. We're second projects. Like, so investors.
Oh, sorry. They're not their step up home, but like their second
property. Yeah.
Wow,
So they already own
okay.
a property and they're buying a second property, and that's in Toronto where prices are already insane. And like whether that plays out in the rest of Ontario, which probably will happen, it's not on my list here, but like it's one thing that I've been giving a lot of thought to, that it's easy, especially these people that are in Toronto, and I talk to them like they're amazing people. Like they increase our economy. There's a lot of different things, but they see Sudbury at 400 as cheap, and we see Sudbury at 400, and our jaw drops in terms of how expensive it is. And that's the mindset, right? So
exactly,
they don't need to come here for work for life, and there's a ton of people out there that are listening to the Gary Vee podcast of the world, that are listening to all these different Rise groups and whatever, and they're saying they want to have passive income, and they want to have a hustle that's 5 p.m. to 9 a.m. and not the 9 to 5. What can they do after their work hours that are going to put them in a position to succeed later on in life? And it's that 5 to 9 hustle that it's like people are buying houses, they're driving up here, home inspections on the weekends and stuff like that, putting offers and putting themselves, whether it's skip the dishes, whether it's Uber Eats, whether it's like whatever hustle they have on the side, they're doing these projects to put themselves in the position to succeed in the long run. So
what's your first prediction?
My first prediction is, take a guess at how many $1 million homes sold in Sudbury this year. I'm catching you off the cuff.
This will be cool. This will be cool. Let me try to guess. I'm going big here.
Okay.
I think 50.
You think 50?
I'm guessing.
Yeah, 51. So
Wow.
this guy's tied in the market to be able to guess like that.
Yeah.
So $51 million homes. I think Sudbury sees $100 million home sales next year.
Oh, I like that. That's a good prediction.
100 sales over $1 million in Sudbury marketplace next year. I think it's insane to think about, because I actually went back 10 years ago. So I went back to 2011 and I said, how many houses sold over $1 million? 0. How many houses over 900? 0. How many houses over 800? There was 5, and you were buying a beautiful mansion on the lake for $875,000.
No, you can't get on the lake for that.
You're finding fixer-uppers at $1 million, right? So like, where are things going to go? I actually wanted to make a big bold prediction of a $5 million sale or something like that. I actually don't think that's going to happen in this marketplace next year. Maybe, but I don't think that's. But I think there's going to be $100 million sales in Sudbury, and it's not just lakefront homes. It's brand new subdivisions. The new subdivision that you just sold the house over in Moonglow, like those houses, like the big 2,400 square foot houses, are starting at $1 million now.
Yeah,
and that's a down round home. Like it's like.
I remember my guy buying. He bought it for actually a good price. Now I won't say the price, but now they're $100,000 more.
This
was like 6 months ago.
It's insane to see what's going on in this marketplace. So I think my big bold prediction is $100 million sales in the Sudbury marketplace.
Awesome. That's cool. I can't wait to talk about it next December.
We're going to sit here. But yeah, 51 sales over $1 million in Sudbury this year, which was a pretty cool thing. So take away big prediction number 2. What do you have for us?
My number 2 is, like, a lot of people I'm finding love the lifestyle of Sudbury. They're tired of the hustle and bustle in Toronto, like having to walk, not having any outdoors, space to breathe. So I'm predicting our population increase to 200,000 when the census of Canada comes out, because we haven't seen that in 5 years, like you were saying. What I'm telling people is 165, but I just feel it's higher.
Did you look at my notes?
No, that's literally. Oh, you have the same?
Yeah, it was gonna be my point 3, but I'll talk about my point 2. But yeah, it's insane. It's 2016 was the census was last done. It was supposed to be. They do a full census every 10 years, and they do a mini census update every 5 years. So 2021 we were supposed to do a new census. With COVID, we didn't. So I don't know when the next official census is.
I can't wait to find out. Like
I
had a student working for me last year, and he did a research, and like obviously just his own people he was reaching out to, but he found that it was going to increase by quite a bit in the next 10 years.
We've already seen so many immigrants come in, create community in Sudbury, which is an amazing thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is just going to continue to to steamroll, right? Like Cambrian College, they've got a recruitment center set up in India. Like this is like there are people that are building these connections and these contacts right at the get-go. Cambrian College is a huge source of people coming to Sudbury. They get settled. We just had somebody just to leave the office, but she was here. She just got a permanent residency after 3 years, which is an amazing thing to see. She walked us through Diwali, like what like the holiday and everything like that, which was a really cool thing and to experience from our office perspective. Laurentian University in crazy financial and issues right now. The only way they can solve it is with foreign students. And they need to be targeting the foreign students, and they know this already. I'm not like, and I've gone over this in one of my YouTube videos already in the past. But they're going to be targeting foreign students to more so than they ever have, from both like a perspective of bringing students in because their enrollment's so down, where a lot of local people and people in Ontario don't want to go because of the damaged reputation, and secondly because they pay more money. So they're bigger revenue dollars that are coming in. But yeah, definitely we're going to see that. And that's my point too, was right identical. That it was, we're at 161 was our, I think it's 200,000. Actually, I think right now we might even be sitting at 200,000.
Yeah.
Like it's like we could be, but like by the end of the year, we're going to see. And I feel like with COVID, we haven't really even turned on the faucet for immigration.
And we're also, like, the reason I think that as well is our vacancy rate. Man, you have so many people reaching out to rent your properties.
Yeah.
Like, there's just a lack of housing in Sudbury, which is also part of why the price is going to increase.
But so, tell me how vacancy rate has to do with an increase in the population, or like that's why it's so high.
Yeah. So if the population is increasing and there's not enough houses being built or enough housing for people, then that causes the vacancy rate to decrease.
Yeah.
There's way more people looking for housing than
there are availability. So like right now, it's not going to be it's not a leading indicator. It's like it's
one of the reasons I made my prediction.
Yeah. It's honestly it's an amazing thing, and this is great news for Sudbury. Like a growing economy, we can't grow further. We're not going to see more future growth and stuff like that if we stay stagnant at 161. But I think we have grown. I think we will continue to grow. Sudbury's an amazing place. Like, I'm raising my family here. I absolutely love it.
I love it.
You've got your daughter here right now. You've got your family here. Like, it's an amazing place to grow up. And like, where else would you want to be than outdoors at your doorstep? Your big city, 4 hours away from. Tristan and I just went and caught a Raptors game last week. 4 hours away from a Raptors game. You get the best of big cities with the small town living.
And the big rigs in Sudbury that are the developers, they're seeing it as well. Like with the KED going in, they obviously believe there's a demand for that in Sudbury.
Do you think KED happens?
For sure.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. It just went.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
We'll see. Yeah. They've got that hotel. That's a whole nother prediction we can get to on a different podcast.
Okay, next up.
So the third and last prediction, but yeah, it's interesting. But like literally, we didn't consult on this coming in. I've got 161,000 to 200,000 Sudbury population and from 2016. So that was gonna be my number 3. But I'll get into my number 2 next, which is gonna be my number 3 here. And again, I don't want to be the pessimist, guys. I'm not the naysayer. But the government's broke. The government is so broke right now. And like, they spend so much money with COVID relief, and there's just more money being spent, more money coming out. Like, it just seems it's going to be nonstop here. I think we're going to see a few things play out. And this is why I didn't get into my big bold prediction with price points, is because I don't think we're not going to see 25% growth because of the government programs that they're going to put into place. And I'm sorry, I've got my phone going off constantly, but we're not going to see 25% growth because of some of the government issues, but we're going to see a capital gains inclusion rate go to 75% in 2022. I really believe by the end of 2022. And what that means is, when you sell a second property, or if you sell something that you're an asset or a stock or something like that, right now you take 50% of that gain. Like, again, we're not non-financial advice to consult with your accountants, but you take 50% of that gain and you add that to your income, and then that's what you're going to be taxed at, whatever your tax rate is. That number is going to go to 75% in 2022, which is going to be a huge factor for investors. It's going to be a big reason that maybe you're going to see a big push to sell before that happens, or whatever that grandfather period looks like. But a 75%
sell.
Eventually these things sell.
Eventually
it's going to sell as an estate or whatever kind of thing, right? But eventually these things will sell, and you're going to see 75% in capital gains inclusion rate. It's one of the things the government's been targeting for a while. They specifically said they're not going to touch principal residences, and I think that they will continue not to touch principal residences. But the capital gains inclusion rate will go to 75%. I think that tied to that, guys, the government's broke. We're going to see an increase in the Bank of Canada rate. Right now, the overnight lending rate. So when Scotiabank wants to lend money to RBC or RBC to TD or something like that, they're paying 0.25%. So that's a quarter of a point is what they're paying on the back end when the banks are lending money to each other, and then they in turn lend that money out to us, and that's what the variable rates are calculated on. I think we're going to see a full 1% jump in the year. I think that, like, what the Bank of Canada meets 8 different times. So
Agreed.
in those 8 meetings, there's going to be 4 meetings that increase the rate by a quarter point. That is my thought.
Honestly, that's what I've been telling people. That's what I believe.
And I don't think the government's done at that. I think they're going to continue to raise rates after that. Now, the craziest thing is I've been listening to my favorite podcast right now. If anybody's interested, is All In. Like I know, and we both found it like on our own kind of thing. But Shamal, what an amazing guy, and like I'm a huge Jason Calacanis guy as well. But yeah, so when they really get into the debt that the government's taking on, is like when the government spends money they don't have. If they increase the rates, like they have to pay higher rates on all that money. So like they have to like if like in the US especially, like they're gonna have to find, like if they increase the rates by 1%, they might have to go find $40 billion of extra money, and it might even be like per day or something like that of that they're churning out. So that means $40 billion less on healthcare or programs or something like that. So I know that the government's going to be in this weird precarious place, but inflation is running rampant as we sit here December whatever we are 16th 2021. Inflation has never been like we've seen, that I haven't seen in my life. I know my dad has seen it with when he had mortgages go to 22% or whatever, but inflation needs to be kept in check. I don't know what has to happen on that level, but we're going to see it in turn from the Bank of Canada lending rate go up by 1 full percentage point over the year. What that means is those HELOCs you have, get rid of those if you can, or pay those down. Like it's the home equity line of credits, it's your variable rate mortgages. Those are what's going to be affected here. And a lot of people have been saying, my house went up $400,000. Perfect. I'm just going to take a line of credit against this house and go use it to pay off credit cards and go shopping and go buy a TV or whatever. Watch out for that money, because that money's going to like come up and get you before you even realize it. It's going to be money that's out of your pocket now, and if it's not an income-producing assets or it's not increasing the value of your property, you're going to be in a tough place when those rates start increasing, because a lot of people aren't paying down the principal, they're just paying down the interest on those payments. So I don't want to be like that naysayer, and I still believe the market's going to increase, and that's why my increase is kept in check. It's not that 25% growth we saw this year is going to be a 10 or 15% growth for next year. But I do believe the government's broke. My big prediction is the capital gains inclusion rate tied with the Bank of Canada increased by 1%.
I like it, and I agree.
That's a big long-winded spiel there, but
that's good.
Yeah. What about you? Last one.
So I kind of had the condos again this year. This is the year I think they'll take a step up, and I think we might. So this is another bold prediction. We might be at the price, the average house price, where we see developers come to Sudbury.
Talk me through that. Like, because there's developers here already, but you think that we're going to see
they're the local Sudbury developers. But once there's enough potential, our prices go up enough. Like, a lot of people are seeing potential in Sudbury, but when the big, huge players that are building condos down south come up to Sudbury, because we don't have row houses in Sudbury.
We do.
Not
Dalron didn't get approved for condos or for apartments in Algonquin, so they ended up building those row houses or rentals.
Semis or row houses?
Row houses.
So when the big rigs come and they start building those, that's when I think we've hit a mark of no return.
The interesting part is, like, we just sold the semi in the South End, and like, people from Southern Ontario are just used to being in semis, but people in Sudbury are not used to being in semis. So every single one of the buyers that were came through that was really interested in it were like Toronto buyers that were just saying, like, I'm used to growing up in a semi. There's nothing wrong with the semi. Like, this is what, and like they're just targeting newer builds because it's like less can go wrong, less headaches. Where people from Sudbury would be like, oh, I've got a great semi for you. Like,
yeah, I would rather
can't do a semi. Yeah, and like they would rather, like, go to a different location or spend whatever extra is going to cost them. But the semi market, especially in Sudbury, we saw a boom this year in the South End. Like, we're selling, like, I've seen a few sales like in the fives, like mid fives for newer semis, which is insane. Like, it's like that's a big dollars for a sale. Like, I think one hit 580 just recently, kind of thing. So, insane stuff there. So condo market increasing.
Developers
yeah,
starting to look to Sudbury. We might not see anything up, obviously, but I think by the end of the year, we're going to see people start to inquire. We might hear some stories.
I actually was chatting with a small developer in Toronto, but he works with a lot of different groups, and he was asking me, he's like, what are they doing with that hospital there? He's like, he knew, and he was looking at Perry Sound and some projects and stuff like that. So I do think that that's happening. It's the nature of the beast that projects, like these businesses, businesses look at things from what's called an internal rate of return, so like an IRR, right? And they want to see a certain percentage that they're getting on their money. So they're not gonna take a business with a 200,000, 500,000, $1 million or whatever, and they're not gonna put it in the bank. They're gonna be looking for projects that pay out this rate of return. And if they can't get that in Toronto or Parry Sound or Barrie or wherever that project is, they'll continue to look north, and then eventually they'll find Sudbury and they'll say, okay, well, what's it like here? Now, if that is to play out, I do know that it can be tough. Like a lot of people are saying that this dealing with the Sudbury government is a tough thing. Our municipal government. Yeah. So we need there is some great people over there where they do great things, but we need them to step up, and we need to be a more business friendly city. I think that would help us out in the long term for sure. The last prediction, and I just said was on my sheet, and I just said we'll call it the bonus, is ROY Rookie of the Year from the Toronto Raptors, Scotty Barnes. I put it down now. It's happening. I'm so pumped on this guy. I haven't been so pumped on a Toronto Raptors new player in quite a while. I know that we did terrible in the drafts for so many years, but to see Scotty Barnes, and like I was watching that, I'm like, how are you not picking Suggs? Like I watched that college game though, that they just lost, but Suggs had like 40 points or whatever, like the game of his life when he jumps up on the scores table, like pumps his fist and stuff like that. So I was a huge Jalen Suggs fan when the Raptors and Masai didn't pick him. I was like heartbroken. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like clearly they know a lot more than I do, and that great job with Scotty Barnes. He's such an exciting player to watch, and like we don't get the media out of Toronto like they do in some of the bigger marketplaces. So I think right now the favorite is Mobley.
Mobley.
So I think Mobley is the favorite right now. But honestly, put it down. Scotty Barnes is winning the ROI this year, Rookie of the Year for sure. So
that's awesome. Great prediction.
Until next time, guys. We'll see you guys next December.